They started cropping up 3 years ago, after the financial crisis, signs about John Galt and Atlas Shrugged. For some, Ayn Rand's famous novel and its hero offer a roadmap.
I believe Ayn Rand, especially Atlas Shrugged, has the answer for the problems we're having in this country today.
Among those inspired by Rand's writing, vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan.
The reason I got involved in public service, by and large, if I had to credit one thinker, one person, it would be Ayn Rand.
But who was she?
Ayn Rand was a Russian-born Jewish intellectual. She was the product of a totalitarian culture who developed a fervid sense of individualism and individual rights.
Biographer Ann Heller says Rand was a teenager when the Communist Army seized her father's pharmacy.
The Red soldiers marched in, shuttered the doors, put a red banner across the door, and her father never worked again, and she was there to see that humiliation.
She came to the U.S. in 1926 and soon became fearful of what she saw. The New Deal, Social Security, big government getting bigger.
She saw American communism begin to blossom, or so she thought, in the 1930s and was appalled and horrified.
Her most famous books, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, paint an ugly picture of big government and celebrate the individual over the collective. She called her philosophy objectivism, which values selfishness, rejects altruism, and advocates complete free market capitalism, as she told Mike Wallace in a 1959 interview.
I'm challenging the moral code of altruism, the precept that man's moral duty is to live for others. I say that man is entitled to his own happiness and that he must achieve it himself.
In Ayn Rand's eyes, what was the role of government?
Very, very, very small. No public schools, no public libraries, no public hospitals, no public roads.
What's the biggest misperception of Ayn Rand?
I think the biggest misperception is that she's against things, that she's against government.
Dr. Ankar Gate is the senior fellow at the Ayn Rand Institute. He says her philosophy resonates in a particular way today.
Because she asked people to rethink what the purpose of government is. As a result of this financial crisis and what the government did in response.
So she would have hated the bailout of Wall Street, the bailout of the auto industry.
Yes, she was opposed to handouts for anybody and everybody, including businesses.
Author Gary Weiss thinks Rand's views can be seen most strongly in efforts by some conservatives to cut back on social programs.
She made it sort of morally justifiable to be really harsh in your treatment of the poor.
So what would happen to people in her ideal society that cannot help themselves?
Who would take care of them would be friends, families. They'll do it out of a sense of benevolence, out of a sense of generosity.
But not out of a sense of religious duty. Rand was an avowed atheist.
She thought that Christianity and communism were two sides of the same coin.
Which may be why, more recently, Paul Ryan has stepped back from what he said in 2005.
I grew up reading Ayn Rand, and it taught me quite a bit about who I am and what my value systems are and what my beliefs are.
Her philosophy is kind of a ridiculous one, in my opinion, objectivism. I'm a devout Catholic. How can you be, believe in that stuff?
And Rand may have been equally dismissive of today's politicians. Do you think she would like President Obama?
No.
Would she like Mitt Romney?
No.
Would she like Paul Ryan?
No.
Why?
Because none of them is a pure capitalist, and none of them agrees wholeheartedly with her. And that was the price of admission with Ayn Rand.
Poppy Harlow, CNN, New York.